let's talk about the secret sauce, the big idea that's powering pretty much all of modern AI. You've heard of ChatGPT, you've seen what DALL-E can do. Well, underneath it all is something called the attention mechanism. It's how AI finally learned to do something our brains do every single second without even thinking about it: how to focus. Seriously, just think about that for a moment. You're in a loud, crowded room. There's music. There are 100 conversations happening. And yet, someone says your name, and instantly, your brain just filters out all that noise and hones right in. For the longest time, AI was just drowning in that noise. It couldn't tell what was important. That is, until this one beautifully simple idea changed everything. So, to really get why this was such a game changer, we have to go back and look at the huge problem that old school AI had, and it all came down to a really bad memory. Yeah, imagine reading a huge novel, but by the time you get to the last chapter, you've completely forgotten who the main character even was. That's kind of what it was like for these older models. They processed everything in a straight line, one word after another. So the context from the beginning of a long sentence, it would just fade away. It would get totally lost by the time the AI got to the end. I mean, this was a total paradigm shift. It's night and day. We went from this one-way street where information just gets weaker and weaker to giving the AI this incredible bird's-eye view. Now, it can see every single word of the sentence all at the same time. Nothing gets lost. All the context is right there, ready to go. And that, right there, is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Okay, great. You can see everything at once. But that just brings us back to the noisy room problem. If you're looking at everything, how on earth do you decide what actually matters? How do you focus? Well, the big breakthrough was to stop trying to force the AI to remember everything. Instead, the idea was to teach it how to calculate what's relevant in real time. And it does this using 3 simple but powerful concepts: a query, a key, and a value. This is hands down the best way to wrap your head around it. Let's say a word needs to understand its context. First, it comes up with a question. That's the query. Then it goes around and looks at the title of every other word in the sentence. Those are the keys. And when it finds a title that seems like a really good match for its question, it grabs the actual contents of that words book, and that's the value. Okay, theory is great, but how does this actually play out? Let's get our hands dirty and walk through the exact 4 steps. We're going to see how an AI uses this to really, truly understand what a sentence means. So, let's use this sentence. The animal didn't cross the street because it was too tired. Our mission is simple. Figure out what it is talking about. So first, every single word gets its own query, key, and value. Then we take the query from our word it, and we basically ask every other word, hey, how relevant are you to me? That gives us some raw scores. We turn those scores into nice, clean percentages. And finally, we use those percentages to mix up a new context-rich meaning for it. And voila, check out the results. After it sends out its query and checks all the keys, look what happens. The word animal just lights up. It has by far the highest similarity score. And this is the cool part. Nobody programmed this in. The model just learned that pronouns like it are usually looking for nouns. So when we turn these scores into percentages, animal grabs a huge 28.4% of the focus. So for the final step, the new meaning for the word it becomes this sort of cocktail, a mix of all the other words' values. Think of it like a recipe. The final flavor is 28.4% animal, about 18% it, which is important so it remembers it's a pronoun, and then smaller dashes of flavor from related words like tired. The result? A new version of it that's now soaked in the context that it's talking about the animal. Now remember, that whole calculation we just did, that was just for one word. The real magic, the part that's so powerful, is that the AI does this for every single word, all at the exact same time. And that's how it builds the big picture. What you're looking at here is called an attention matrix. You can think of it as a dynamic relationship map for the sentence. Every word in a row is asking, who should I be paying attention to? And you can literally see the relationships form. There's that bright spot where it is looking at animal. But look, you can also see cross paying a lot of attention to street. You see grammar linking up, like didn't and cross. The whole thing is a complete diagram of the sentence's structure, and it's calculated in a flash. But wait, it gets even deeper. The models we use today don't just make one of these maps, they make a whole bunch of them at the same time. It's a concept called multi-head attention. It's like having a whole team of specialists look at the sentence. One head is a grammar expert, another one is an expert in finding synonyms, a third one just tracks word order, and then they all get together and combine what they found to build this incredibly deep and layered understanding. So, why does all this techie stuff matter to you? Simple. This one mechanism is the engine behind pretty much every AI tool you use. When Google Translate perfectly aligns words from Spanish to English, that's attention. When DALL-E knows to put a red balloon in the blue sky, that's attention connecting words to pixels. And yep, every single time you ask a question to ChatGPT or Claude, there are billions of these attention calculations firing off to figure out what you mean. Now, as amazing as it is, attention isn't a free lunch. It has one major weakness. It's expensive. The number of calculations just explodes as your text gets longer. See, every new word has to be compared to every other word. So for a sentence with 10 words, that's 100 comparisons. But for a 100,000-word document, you're looking at over 10 billion comparisons. This is the main reason why even the best AI models today have a limit on how much they can read at once. So in the end, it seems like intelligence, whether it's ours or a machine's, isn't just about raw horsepower. It's about the elegant, simple act of selective focus. It's all about knowing where to look. The attention mechanism gave AI that gift, and you can bet the next giant leap forward will come from making that focus even sharper, even faster, and even more efficient. The only question is, what should we point it at next?